The wind whipped Maya's hair across her face as she walked down the dusty road. The small town of Harmony wasn't very harmonious for her. Maya was different. While other girls dreamed of pretty dresses and fancy parties, Maya dreamed of horses, cows, and open fields. She wanted to be a rancher, a caretaker of animals, a steward of the land. But in Harmony, girls weren't supposed to want those things. Girls were supposed to get married and have babies. Ranching was for the men. And because Maya dared to dream differently, the townspeople whispered and pointed. They called her Silly Maya and the Dreamer Girl. Maya lived in a tiny, run-down house on the edge of town with her grandmother. Her grandmother was old and tired, and Maya did her best to help, but it was hard. They barely had enough food, and Maya knew she needed to find a way to make a better life for them both. That's why she wanted to learn about ranching. She believed she could make a living caring for animals. But every time she tried to ask someone for help or advice, they just laughed. They told her she was being ridiculous, that she should stick to womanly things. Their words stung, but Maya refused to let their negativity crush her spirit completely. Deep down, she held on to a tiny spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, someone would believe in her. Maybe someone would see her potential instead of just laughing at her dreams. That hope centered around learning. Maya devoured every book she could find about animals and farming. The library, a small, dusty building in the center of town, became her sanctuary. She spent hours poring over diagrams of cow anatomy, reading about different breeds of horses, and studying the best ways to grow crops. She imagined herself riding a powerful stallion across a vast, green field, the wind in her hair and the sun on her face. She dreamed of gentle cows nuzzling her hand, and of fields bursting with golden wheat. These dreams weren't just fantasies, they were fuel. They kept her going when the laughter and the whispers threatened to overwhelm her. Her favorite book was about a woman who ran a successful ranch all by herself. The woman had faced many challenges, but she had persevered with hard work and determination. Maya read that book over and over, memorizing every word. It was proof that her dream wasn't impossible. She knew she needed practical experience, not just book learning. But how could she get that experience when no one in town would give her a chance? She tried offering to help at the local farms, even for free, but they all turned her away with a shake of their heads and a condescending smile. Ranching is no job for a girl, they would say. Maya felt like she was trapped in a cage, her wings clipped before she even had a chance to fly. The annual town meeting was Maya's last hope. It was a place where everyone in Harmony gathered to discuss important issues and make decisions about the community. Maya knew it was a long shot, but she decided to ask for help publicly. She prepared a small speech, practicing it in front of her grandmother, her voice trembling with nerves. On the day of the meeting, Maya wore her best dress, even though it was patched and faded. She wanted to look presentable, to show the townspeople that she was serious. As she walked into the town hall, she could feel the weight of their stares. When it was time for public comments, Maya stood up, her heart pounding in her chest. She cleared her throat and began to speak, her voice a little shaky at first. "My name is Maya," she said, "and I want to learn about ranching. I know I'm just a girl, but I believe I can work hard and make a difference." She explained her situation, how she wanted to help her grandmother and make a better life for herself. She asked if anyone would be willing to give her a chance, to teach her the skills she needed to succeed. But instead of support, she was met with laughter. Loud, cruel laughter that echoed through the town hall. People pointed and whispered, making fun of her dreams. Some even made clucking noises, like chickens, implying that she was foolish. Maya's face burned with shame. She wanted to disappear. Tears streamed down Maya's face as she ran out of the town hall, the sound of laughter still ringing in her ears. She didn't stop running until she reached the small, rickety bridge that led to her house. She leaned against the railing, sobbing uncontrollably. The river below seemed to mock her, its gentle current a constant reminder of the life she longed for but couldn't reach. She felt utterly defeated, like a small boat tossed about in a stormy sea. The town's rejection was more painful than she could have imagined. It wasn't just that they didn't believe in her, they actively seemed to enjoy tearing her down. She thought about giving up. Maybe they were right. Maybe ranching wasn't for her. Maybe she should just accept her fate and find a husband, like everyone else expected. The thought made her stomach churn. It felt like betraying herself, like abandoning the dreams that had kept her going for so long. When she finally made it home, her grandmother was waiting for her face etched with worry. Maya tried to smile, but it was a weak, watery attempt. She didn't want to tell her grandmother what had happened. She didn't want to burden her with her pain. But her grandmother saw the tears in her eyes and knew something was wrong. She gently pulled Maya into a hug, her frail arms offering a surprising amount of comfort. "What is it, child?" she asked softly. Maya hesitated, then poured out her heart, telling her grandmother everything that had happened at the town meeting. Her grandmother listened patiently, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and understanding. When Maya was finished, she took Maya's hands in hers, her grip surprisingly strong. "Those people are wrong, child," she said firmly. "They are small-minded and afraid of anything different. Don't let their ignorance dim your light." But Maya found it hard to believe her. The laughter still echoed in her head, and the faces of the townspeople, contorted with mockery, haunted her dreams. She spent the next few days in a fog of despair, barely eating or sleeping. She stayed inside, avoiding the town and its judgmental eyes. She looked at her books about ranching, but they no longer inspired her. They felt like empty promises, a cruel reminder of the dreams she would never achieve. She even considered throwing them away, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. A tiny spark of hope, no matter how small, still flickered within her. One afternoon, as she was sitting on the porch, staring blankly at the road, she saw a wagon approaching. It was driven by a man she didn't recognize, a tall, weathered figure with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He wore a worn-out cowboy hat and his clothes were dusty, but there was something about him that radiated warmth and strength. As he drew closer, Maya felt a flicker of curiosity, a tiny crack in the wall of despair that had surrounded her. Maybe, just maybe, this stranger could offer her something that the town of Harmony never could. The wagon stopped in front of Maya's house, and the man hopped down, his movements surprisingly agile for his age. He smiled at Maya, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Hello there, young lady," he said, his voice warm and friendly. "My name is Johnson. I saw you at the town meeting the other day." Maya's heart sank. She instinctively braced herself for more mockery. But Mr. Johnson's expression was kind, not cruel. "I heard what you said about wanting to learn about ranching," he continued. "And I saw how those folks treated you. It wasn't right." Maya was stunned. She couldn't believe that someone was actually acknowledging her pain and validating her dreams. She looked at Mr. Johnson with wide, questioning eyes. "I own a ranch just outside of town," Mr. Johnson explained. "It's not much, but it's my livelihood. And I could use some help." He paused, his gaze steady and sincere. "I'm willing to give you a chance, Maya. If you're willing to work hard and learn, I'll teach you everything I know." Maya's jaw dropped. It was like a dream come true. After all the rejection and ridicule, someone was finally offering her the opportunity she had longed for. Tears welled up in her eyes, but this time, they were tears of hope, not despair. She could barely speak, but she managed to croak out a single word, "Yes." Mr. Johnson smiled. "Good," he said. "Then how about you come on out to the ranch tomorrow morning? We can start bright and early." That night, Maya could barely sleep. Excitement bubbled inside her, chasing away the shadows of despair. She packed a small bag with her few belongings, including her favorite book about the woman rancher. She told her grandmother about Mr. Johnson's offer, and her grandmother's eyes filled with tears of joy. The next morning, Maya woke up before dawn. She put on her sturdiest clothes and walked to Mr. Johnson's ranch, her heart pounding with anticipation. The ranch was a little run down, but it had a charm all its own. A sprawling farmhouse stood in the center, surrounded by barns, stables, and corrals. Cows grazed peacefully in the pasture, and horses galloped freely in the fields. Mr. Johnson greeted her with a warm smile. "Ready to work, Maya?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Maya replied, her voice filled with enthusiasm. Mr. Johnson started her off with the basics. He showed her how to feed the chickens, collect the eggs, and milk the cows. It was hard work, and Maya's hands were soon blistered and sore, but she didn't mind. She was finally doing what she had always dreamed of doing. He also taught her how to clean the stables, a task that was smelly and messy, but Maya tackled it with determination. Mr. Johnson watched her carefully, impressed by her willingness to learn and her unwavering work ethic. He could see that Maya was not afraid of hard work and that she had a genuine love for animals. He knew he had made the right decision in giving her a chance. The days that followed were filled with hard work and new experiences. Maya learned how to mend fences, repair equipment, and identify different types of plants. Mr. Johnson patiently explained everything, answering her endless questions with a smile. He never made her feel foolish or inadequate, even when she made mistakes. One particularly challenging task was learning to drive the tractor. The tractor was old and temperamental, and it took Maya several tries to get it started. Even when she finally managed to get it moving, she struggled to steer it straight. Mr. Johnson chuckled, but he didn't give up on her. He stood beside her, offering guidance and encouragement until she finally got the hang of it. Another time, a cow got loose and ran into the woods. Maya and Mr. Johnson spent hours searching for her, battling through thick brush and thorny bushes. Maya was exhausted and scratched, but she refused to give up. Finally, they found the cow trapped in a ravine. Maya carefully coaxed the cow out of the ravine, her gentle voice calming the frightened animal. Mr. Johnson watched in admiration, impressed by Maya's compassion and resourcefulness. Evenings were spent with Maya helping to prepare dinner and then doing her best to read up on the next day's tasks. She was tired, but she was happy. She was learning, she was growing, and she was finally finding her place in the world. The laughter of the townspeople seemed distant and faint now, replaced by the quiet satisfaction of a hard day's work and the unwavering support of a kind mentor. One day, Mr. Johnson asked Maya to help him move a large stack of hay bales. The bales were heavy and awkward, and Maya struggled to lift them. Her muscles ached, and her hands were raw. She felt like giving up, but she didn't want to disappoint Mr. Johnson. "Take your time, Maya," Mr. Johnson said, noticing her struggle. "Ranching isn't about brute strength, it's about technique and patience." He showed her how to position her body to lift the bales more efficiently, using her legs instead of her back. Even with the new technique, the work was still challenging. Maya's arms trembled with exhaustion, and sweat dripped down her face. But she kept going, one bale at a time. Mr. Johnson worked alongside her, never letting her feel like she was alone. As they stacked the last bale, Maya felt a surge of pride. She had overcome a difficult challenge, and she had proven to herself that she was stronger than she thought. Mr. Johnson smiled at her, his eyes filled with admiration. "See, Maya," he said. "You're tougher than you give yourself credit for." Maya realized that Mr. Johnson was teaching her more than just ranching skills. He was teaching her about perseverance, resilience, and the importance of believing in herself. With each challenge she overcame, her confidence grew, and the memory of the town's laughter faded a little more. The ranch was becoming her sanctuary, and Mr. Johnson was becoming the father figure she had always longed for. As Maya spent more time on the ranch, she discovered a special connection with the animals. She had a natural ability to understand their needs and anticipate their behavior. The cows seemed calmer when she milked them, and the chickens laid more eggs when she fed them. But it was the horses that truly captured her heart. She loved their strength, their grace, and their gentle spirits. She spent hours brushing them, talking to them in a soothing voice, and learning their individual personalities. Mr. Johnson noticed Maya's affinity for the horses. He saw how they responded to her touch, how they seemed to trust her implicitly. He realized that Maya had a gift, a rare talent for connecting with animals on a deeper level. One day, Mr. Johnson asked Maya to help him train a young colt that had been resisting all attempts at being saddled. The colt was skittish and nervous, and it had thrown several experienced riders. Mr. Johnson had almost given up on him. Maya approached the colt cautiously, her voice soft and reassuring. She spent time simply being near him, letting him get used to her presence. She offered him treats and gently stroked his muzzle. Slowly, the colt began to relax. Then, Maya carefully placed a blanket on the colt's back, speaking to him in a calming tone. The colt flinched at first, but he didn't bolt. Maya continued to soothe him, and eventually, he stood still, accepting the blanket without resistance. Mr. Johnson watched in amazement as Maya successfully saddled the colt, her gentle touch and unwavering patience winning over the skittish animal. With each success, Maya's confidence blossomed. She walked taller, spoke louder, and smiled more freely. The timid, insecure girl who had been ridiculed at the town meeting was slowly transforming into a strong, capable young woman. She started taking on more responsibilities on the ranch, managing the feeding schedules, overseeing the breeding program, and even making decisions about crop rotation. Mr. Johnson trusted her judgment implicitly, and he often sought her advice. One day, a traveling salesman came to the ranch, trying to sell Mr. Johnson a new piece of equipment. The salesman was slick and persuasive, and Mr. Johnson was considering making the purchase. But Maya noticed that the equipment was poorly made and overpriced. She quietly pointed out the flaws to Mr. Johnson, explaining why she didn't think it was a good investment. Mr. Johnson listened carefully, and he ultimately decided to trust Maya's opinion. He thanked her for her insight, telling her that she had saved him a lot of money. As Maya walked away, she felt a surge of pride. She had not only used her skills to help Mr. Johnson, but she had also stood up for what she believed in, even when it was difficult. She realized that she was no longer afraid of the townspeople's judgment. She knew her worth, and she believed in herself. The laughter of the past had faded, replaced by the quiet confidence of a woman who had found her purpose. In a neglected corner of the pasture, Maya found a thin, sad-looking horse with matted fur and dull eyes. The horse was old and had been injured, and Mr. Johnson had planned on selling him, deeming him no longer useful. But Maya saw something special in the horse, a spark of spirit that hadn't been completely extinguished. She started spending time with the horse, grooming him, feeding him special treats, and talking to him in a gentle voice. She named him Hope. At first, Hope was wary and withdrawn, but slowly, he began to trust Maya. He would nuzzle her hand and whinny softly when she approached. Maya discovered that Hope had a limp, a result of an old injury that had never been properly treated. She carefully cleaned the wound, applied soothing ointment, and massaged his muscles. She spent hours researching different therapies and working with Hope to improve his mobility. Mr. Johnson was skeptical at first, but he was amazed by Maya's dedication and the progress she was making with Hope. He saw that Maya wasn't just caring for the horse, she was healing him, body and soul. Slowly, Hope began to regain his strength and vitality. His fur became glossy, his eyes sparkled, and his limp lessened. He started running and playing in the pasture, a joyful sight that warmed Maya's heart. Hope's transformation was a testament to Maya's compassion and her unwavering belief in the power of kindness. He was a symbol of hope, not just for Maya, but for everyone on the ranch. The following spring, a devastating drought hit the town of Harmony. The crops withered, the river dried up, and the livestock suffered. The townspeople were desperate. Mr. Johnson's ranch was also affected by the drought, but thanks to Maya's knowledge and skills, they were better prepared than most. Maya had implemented a water conservation system, using rainwater harvesting and drip irrigation to minimize water waste. She had also planted drought-resistant crops, ensuring that the animals had enough to eat. When the townspeople saw how well Mr. Johnson's ranch was faring, they began to seek Maya's advice. They swallowed their pride and asked her for help, acknowledging her expertise. Maya, remembering their cruelty, could have turned them away. But she didn't. She shared her knowledge freely, teaching them how to conserve water, plant drought-resistant crops, and care for their animals during the drought. She organized workshops and demonstrations, showing them practical techniques that they could implement on their own farms. Maya's efforts helped the town of Harmony survive the drought. The crops didn't flourish, but they managed to produce enough food to sustain themselves. The animals survived, and the town's economy didn't collapse. Maya had not only saved Mr. Johnson's ranch, but she had also saved the town that had once laughed at her. She proved that she was more than just a dreamer, she was a resourceful, capable, and compassionate leader. As the drought subsided and the town of Harmony began to recover, a change swept through the hearts of some of its residents. They witnessed Maya's success, her resilience, and her unwavering kindness, and they couldn't help but feel a pang of regret for their earlier treatment of her. Some of the townsfolk started to apologize to Maya, their voices filled with remorse. They admitted that they had been wrong to dismiss her dreams and that they were impressed by her accomplishments. They confessed that they were ashamed of their laughter and their cruel words. Mrs. Gable, the baker, who had often made fun of Maya's patched dress, brought her a freshly baked pie as a peace offering. Mr. Abernathy, the blacksmith, who had clucked like a chicken at the town meeting, offered to repair the ranch's broken equipment for free. Even some of the younger girls, who had once whispered behind Maya's back, started seeking her friendship, asking her for advice about caring for their own pets. However, not everyone in Harmony changed their tune. Some remained stubborn and resentful, refusing to acknowledge Maya's success. They clung to their prejudices and continued to whisper and point. But their negativity no longer affected Maya. She had learned to ignore their voices, focusing instead on the people who supported her and the work that she loved. She understood that changing everyone's mind was impossible, and she accepted that some people would always remain closed-minded. But the apologies and the acts of kindness from those who had seen the error of their ways filled her heart with warmth and a sense of forgiveness. Maya approached forgiveness with grace. She understood that people make mistakes and that holding on to resentment would only poison her own heart. She accepted the apologies with sincerity, acknowledging the courage it took for them to admit their wrongs. When Mrs. Gable offered her the pie, Maya smiled and thanked her warmly. She even complimented Mrs. Gable's baking, remembering how much she had always loved her pies. When Mr. Abernathy offered to repair the equipment, Maya gratefully accepted, knowing that his skills would be invaluable to the ranch. She treated everyone with kindness and respect, regardless of their past behavior. However, Maya didn't forget what had happened. She used the experience as a reminder to always be compassionate and understanding, to never judge others based on their appearance or their dreams. She also used it as motivation to continue working hard and proving her worth, not to seek revenge, but to inspire others to believe in themselves. She knew that forgiveness wasn't about condoning their actions, but about releasing herself from the burden of anger and resentment. It was about choosing to move forward, to build a better future, and to create a more harmonious community. By forgiving those who had doubted her, Maya showed that she was not only a capable rancher, but also a truly remarkable human being. Her actions spoke louder than words, demonstrating the transformative power of forgiveness and the importance of treating everyone with kindness and respect. Years passed, and Maya became an indispensable part of Mr. Johnson's ranch. She was no longer just an employee, she was his partner, his friend, and his family. Mr. Johnson recognized her talent and her dedication, and he eventually decided to make her a co-owner of the ranch. Together, Maya and Mr. Johnson transformed the ranch into a thriving enterprise. They expanded the livestock, improved the crops, and implemented sustainable farming practices. They even started a program to help other young people in the town learn about ranching, giving them the opportunity that Maya had once longed for. Maya never forgot her grandmother, and she made sure that she was well cared for. She built her a new house on the ranch, filled with all the comforts she had always dreamed of. Her grandmother lived a long and happy life, watching Maya blossom into a confident and successful woman. As for the town of Harmony, it learned a valuable lesson about judging others and the importance of supporting dreams. Maya became a symbol of hope and inspiration for the entire community. She proved that anything is possible with hard work, perseverance, and a little bit of kindness. One day, Maya stood on a hill overlooking the ranch, the wind in her hair and the sun on her face. She smiled, feeling grateful for everything she had. She had faced adversity, overcome challenges, and found her purpose in life. She had not only achieved her dreams, but she had also made a positive impact on the world around her. Her future was bright, filled with endless possibilities, and she knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be. She was home.